So the main question was when the COVID first started as to what to do with our houses of worship, because we have worship centers where there are regular prayers and rituals performed by our priests. So when the mandate came down, immediately all our temples were closed. But when you have a place of worship, we need to do our regular rituals to keep the, the worship. You cannot ignore a worship when you have installed a temple or installed what we call a deity or a god in the form of a statue. So the worships have to go on. So the priests who are in charge of the worship have been taking turns and performing the necessary rituals to keep the religious activities as regulated by our scriptures. So those have been going on in those temples, but the public is not allowed to go. Now, when there are some serious life situations like deaths, birthdays, and those kind of celebrations where we generally go to the temple to perform these rituals, some of them cannot come to a standstill because there have been some deaths in the Hindu community. So then the priest has been very helpful in performing the ritualistic part of the service in the temple grounds outside the temple with all the paraphernalia. So that part has been well taken care of in terms of maintaining our places of worship because those are mandated by our scriptures. So that is one aspect of it. Now, about reaching out to the community to keep up their spiritual guidance, there have been a lot of conferences and Zoom seminars. Every day we are having these from our various religious authorities. Hindu American Foundation, HAF, has been very active ever since the COVID started. We've had lectures on philosophies, we've had discussions, we've had guidance on nutrition, we've had guidance on exercise, yoga, and all these seminars are almost, in fact, I feel zoomed out when I listen from morning to evening, different subjects besides the religious talks, the scientific talks, and the general community talks. So there has been, in fact, more activity. I think we have been brought more together socially with these conferences, thanks to the modern scientific advances in communication, which we didn't have in the old days. So there's a positive side because the people who are now no choice, they're sitting at home. There's only so much office work you can do for 4 to 6 hours. The rest of the time you need some more ammunition for your brain and for your spirituality. So this has in fact given us some leads. There are more people listening to our scriptures like Bhagavad Gita now online than they did before. So I look at the positive side of this. It has brought our community intellectually and knowledge base has definitely increased for a common person because everybody these days has a cell phone and they have access to the internet. So I look at it in a positive way.
Thank you so much. It's good to hear that there are positive things coming out from this pandemic, truly. We know that the world is affected in such an awful way, but within the Hindu religion, people are getting smarter, more fit. That's
doing
awesome
more
to hear.
Exercise. They're doing more exercise, more yoga at home, healthy
Right.
diets. Yeah.
That's awesome. We should all join them on their Zoom calls and get more healthy.
Right.
But thank you so much, Doctor.
You're welcome to do that.
Sounds fun. We can all have a Zoom session where we all just do yoga together.
Yes, you can. If you want, just let me know which day you want it and I'll get it arranged by Yoga Bharati.
Will do. Thank you so. Do you also do yoga as well with them?
Yes, I do. I mean, as a mandate for me every day to do at least 15 minutes of yoga every day.
Wow. Yoga has been very popular. So many people now joining yoga because they are home and so many online yogas are available. anytime if you're interested, we can link to you with one or other. So many options available.
So we can have a session
Stay healthy. Good for you.
if you want. Yeah, it'll be like a half-an-hour session
Oh,
with practical demonstration, starting off with slow, easy movements, and then
that's awesome.
progressing. Yeah.
To answer question number 2, whenever you're ready.
So the way I understand question number 2 is to see what we can continue doing in our present condition to remember God. So I'll start with a phrase which we have in Sanskrit, but of course I'm going to translate it in English. One of the dictions in Hinduism is, "He who sees me in all and sees everybody in me, of him I shall not lose hold, and he shall not lose hold of me." That's what Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So the thing is to see yourself in that suffering human being. So if there's a person who's suffering, say, from COVID or suffering from some other illness, you have to relate that to yourself. If you were in that position, what would you do? So I'm a physician. My heart goes out to these patients. They're not letting me to go volunteer because of my age in the hospital, but I've been volunteering at the testing stations. So we do whatever we can at our human level to help our neighbor and help our things. So we've been doing, feeding the people who have not been able to cook, sending these things for the elderly. Now, coming to a personal level, we have increased our intensity of prayers and worship at home. Every family has become more religious, not just spiritual. So this has given them an opportunity because children are at home and they're practicing more of their daily faith and prayers together. They're doing more meditation, and they're also keeping a watch on the elders who may be living with them. So in a way, it has brought us closer with this calamity facing us, because you then realize particularly if a person in your family happens to get COVID and pass away, you realize the transient nature of human life. So you want to do the maximum you can in the little time that you have on the face of earth to recognize that intrinsic spirituality. Because we personally feel every human being is God, because God created us from himself. In the beginning, there was only God. So the materials had also come from God. So that's why God says, if he who sees me in everybody and sees everybody in me. And that's the universal message of Hinduism. And to see that oneness and reach out to that oneness. When your neighbor is suffering, you have to feel that you're suffering. So we have started, as I said before, more prayers, more meetings online, and daily prayers universally, from from India to here and here, even in the United States. And the priests at their end are guiding us with the ritualistic part of the worship. Most Hindu households have a little altar at home. Most of them do. So they're doing more worship as a family at home at that altar too. So this is what we are doing to keep up our spiritual practices at home and reach out in whatever way we can to our neighbors and relatives.